I know you spoke about some of the challenges that you face as being someone who identifies themselves as transgender. What are some of the great things about being a woman, if I could say that?
Wow, that's a very question. Well, first of all, I've just read that on average, women live more. So maybe. Now, I never thought about what is, if there are advantages or not of being, especially, maybe there are some disadvantages. Some people say to me, why, if you were so lucky to be born as men, why did you decide to become women, woman? If your car get broke and you go to the mechanic, if you are a woman, the mechanic doesn't tell you the truth in Italy, make you spend more. If you go to the toilet, you have to spend more time because you know that. And all these things. No, actually, I think that I don't know, maybe. I want to feel at the mirror, and I want to feel good, I don't want to live a life to please the others, who are the others, I have the person, my own, and to feel good, to feel. Maybe somebody thinks that I'm not nice, that I'm not, I don't care. The important is that I feel good, And when I was a child and I looked at the mirror, waiting for my teeth to grow, and then I had my beard growing, I didn't feel at ease, So I think that if I didn't choose to follow the gender I feel more comfortable with, I would be more miserable, maybe.
Did you have the operation before or after your political career started? Like, was it like a shock to like your voters or anything like that, or was it like you had the operation and then you became a political figure?
You want to know about my operation? No.
Yeah. Were you a woman when you became a politician, or?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Okay. I decided to change when I was 16. When I was 16. And so yes, I decided to live as a woman, and I was a politics. Yeah. In fact, when Elisabetta Gardini asked in the parliament to forbid me to go to the ladies' toilet, the heads of the parliament denied this request because I had the right to go to the ladies' toilet. Or is that silent minds?
I was wondering if you ever have a difficulty in Parliament with choosing between certain foreign policy interests and your own queer identity, because many times, at least from where I'm operating from politically, the oppression of homosexuals or transgender people abroad is a pretext for invasion, as is the case with Afghanistan, Iraq, and potentially Iran. So I was wondering if you could speak to how you reconcile basically the oppression of our queer brothers and sisters abroad and unsavory or imperialistic measures in other countries.
One of the few things that I managed to do as a member of the parliament was to convince our parliament to accept a European law asking the nation of the European community to give the asylum to those people who risk their life or their freedom because of their sexual orientation and gender identity. In Italy, we don't. It's not a crime to be gay, lesbian, or transgender, but actually we are not considered to be as citizens equal to others because, for example, if you love somebody, you can't marry the person. If you are beaten in Italy, because of your religious trend or because of your ethic, there is a law which punishes more this hate crime. If you're gay, this can't happen, you know? What I try to do in my career as a politician is to represent this community. I felt very responsible for this because I knew, and I felt very bitter when I finished my political, because I felt the disillusion of the people who expected that something could happen. But when you're in the parliament, there are votes, and if you don't have enough people who vote for law, you get nothing. And the only thing I didn't like is that some of the right party used my sexual identity to attack the left party as well. While I always think that these issues, you know, civil rights, shouldn't be considered as ideological, it should be considered as a question of everybody should be responsible for these things, you know. I've been very happy to know that in New York the marriage is being allowed because some of the Republicans changed their mind, because they met some people who were gay and a couple and said, why if I can marry my wife and these people cannot marry? And so now marriage is a possibility in New York. Are you satisfied?
Yeah.
More or less.
Who was the first person you decided to tell? And what was their reaction?
You were born as a male or as a female, and after 16 years, after I had to convince my mother and my father that I was something else, you know. So at the beginning they had difficulty to call she instead of he and other things, you know. Also because the Italian language is so, you know, masculine and feminine and everything. Bello, bella, you have beautiful for everyone, which is an you know. So it was not easy, of course. And when I decided to make change in my body, I knew that it was not easy. You know, I remember when I saw my mother for the, but you know, then they get used to. Now I know that they forgot what I was before. So no, I didn't have problems with this. No. I did it very responsible way, talking with the doctor. They told me everything, and they told me also what I couldn't do anymore. You know, so I did it, you know, very good presence of my mind.
I think you briefly mentioned this, but I was wondering, living in a Catholic society as Italy is, how difficult was it to get the parliament to take you seriously?
Nice question. The problem with the Catholic Church is that transgender people are considered even worse than gay and lesbians. Because the Catholics say that if you're gay and lesbian and you don't practice sex, so you're virgin and you say casto, you're chaste, you know? Which is, I think, the worst depravity for me, right? If you're chaste, if you're chaste, you can even aspire to be a holy man or a holy woman, but you don't have to practice, you know? Because also priests should be chaste, you know? Say should because sometimes we read in the paper something different, but transgender people are considered to be sinners just because they are transgender, because the divine project of God was to make men and women, and you cannot make a different decision according to the church. So even I can be a transgender, and I can be chaste, but still I'm a sinner. It's a good reason not to be chaste, you know, because if you're a sinner, you know. So this is a problem, and I remember when it was made public that the transgender was going to be, you know, candidated and elected. Oh my God! They wrote a lot of things. They wrote that there was going to be a shame of the parliament, you know. Transgender, like, you know, the parliament is going to be like a circus with transgender, you know. I don't know how many of you read about what is happening now, you know. But when I read of all this corruption in Italian politics and people who use the public money, you know, to pay oysters and champagne at the rest, I think this is immoral. This is deeply immoral. But you know, when I went into the parliament, I thought, are you looking at me? Well, I've got two eyes as well. I'm looking at you, you know. So I never wanted to you know, to change my attitude because of the fact that I was a transgender. I dressed with very nice tailleurs, you know, very suits. I was very. And I remember the first time I had the chance to speak. Because usually in the Italian parliament, I don't know in the others, but in the Italian parliament, I think schools should not go to the Italian parliaments to visit, because it's a very bad example. So when students go to see the Italian parliament, you see one at the telephone, the other at the computer, the other laughing, the other reading the newspaper. So I think they get back to the school, they want to do the same, you know? And if the teachers say, what are you doing? Oh, the Italian parliament, they do like this. I think they should prohibit the students to go to the Italian parliament. But, so there's a lot of noise. When they say, Vladimir Luxuria can't speak, silence. So I took the microphone, I told. Then nothing, you know. And they were shocked because, to be honest, I felt maybe like the first women who were elected in a parliament. I had the responsibility to demonstrate and to show that I was not as good as men, but better than men. So I studied, I was present, I voted, I worked very hard. Not to, you know, so they couldn't say, you know, you're abusing the institutions and these things. So I've been 2 years, and what I can tell you is that a lot of people who first were diffident towards me changed their mind, and they say, I have to admit that you've done a good job. And that's the best way to fight against prejudice. Good.
Well, your talk was awesome. It was really good. Very inspiring.
Yeah, I was a little bit not shy, but a little bit afraid because I didn't know it. But when I heard the American Council and also the president, I understood that, you know, it was nice people.
Yes.
So, thank you for coming.
Of course. Thank you. Do you mind? Can we get a picture with you?
Of course.
Do you mind? Okay.